A major political shakeup could be underway at next weekend's Michigan GOP convention in Novi.
All right, that's where a Tea Party candidate is hoping to unseat Lieutenant Governor Brian Kelly, and some say he might just have the votes to do it. So, what can this mean for Governor Snyder and his pick for a running mate?
Yeah, joining us now is the man who wants to replace Kelly on the ballot, and that is Mr. Wes Nakagiri. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, well, let's start with the big question. Why would you want to work with this governor, alongside this governor that you disagree with on so many big issues?
Oh, I don't know. I say disagree with so many big issues. There are a few big issues that we disagree with, and but aside from that, I think we'll work fine together. Well,
isn't that the reason why that you're trying to become the next lieutenant governor?
No, I think that the current lieutenant governor hasn't really espoused the values and views of the Republican Party, the Republican Party platform, something that defines us as who we are as a party. I think we have too many leaders that tend to go astray on these critical issues.
But what you're really talking about is the governor, though. Why isn't there a credible Tea Party candidate to challenge the governor?
I'm not challenging the governor. I don't know. I am focused on the lieutenant governor.
But the governor and the lieutenant governor are they're step and step, right? So what you're really saying is when you're challenging the lieutenant governor, you're challenging the governor.
No, I'm challenging the lieutenant governor. I'm challenging the lieutenant governor, a position that's nominated by the base of the Republican Party. And I believe that the grassroots, the base of the party, needs a bigger voice in Lansing. It's typically the special interests, the lobbyists, the moneyed interests that get the lion's share of the attention. I firmly believe that it's the grassroots needs a little bit bigger say.
Well, you're a member of the Tea Party. A lot of people have been very critical of this party, saying, in fact, that's what's really brought down the Republican Party and could cause it to split and having it to be able to be maybe less effective in the long run. How can you convince somebody that you are the man that is able to do this job for our state?
If you think back to 2010, a period in time which was historic, Michigan went from a blue state to a red state, in large part because of the activists. The Tea Party came out in droves, gave the Republican Party huge victories. I mean, there isn't an element of state government that's not controlled by Republicans, in large part because of the energy of the Tea Party. I will bring that back to the Republican Party this election cycle.
If you, for some reason, don't win, would you support non-Tea Party Republicans in the general election?
I've always said from day one, if this is a fair process, you know, that there are not shenanigans in the convention, that it's on the up and up, and if it's the will of the people that they mistakenly choose Brian Kelly, yeah, I'll support.
So just so I'm clear, though, you will support, I'll say, traditional Republicans in November?
Yes.
All right.
What kicked this off for you? What was the turning point where you felt you just couldn't take it anymore?
Medicaid expansion. That was an Obama agenda item. I mean, it's huge. And if you think back to 2010, when Republicans took control of everything in state government, the message being sent was stop the Obama agenda. It was quite clear. We didn't say enable the Obama agenda. We said stop the Obama agenda. And for Republican-controlled state government of everything to push that agenda is unacceptable.
Well, I think there are some people, and you know, it's obviously debatable, but that might look at Governor Snyder and appreciate the fact that maybe he doesn't get involved a lot with the politics, that he just tends to do, whether it's a more Democratic or Republican-supported issue, that he tends to stay focused on the problem. Do you feel that that's not the case?
Well, on Medicaid expansion, I view it differently than the political class in Lansing. I view it as tacking debt, more debt on the backs of our children and grandchildren. It's not free federal money, as the politicians in Lansing would say. It is tacking more debt on the backs of our children and grandchildren, something I am vehemently opposed to.
The state saved millions of dollars by having feds pay for Medicaid expansion. True or not true?
On the backs of our children and grandchildren, for sure. I don't want to saddle our future generations with that debt. And if you think that's a good thing, that we do that, well, then we have a difference of opinion.
Do you support, is there any part of Obamacare that you support? How about pre-existing conditions?
I support the repeal of Obamacare.
What about but that's the law of the land at this point in time. So what about pre-existing conditions? Do you support that?
The law of the land, it is not the law of the land. It is still being litigated in the courts. There have been two significant court decisions, the Halbig decision that was just released and the Hobby Lobby decision that says Republicans need to keep up the fight. We are not going to capitulate on Obamacare.
But here's the thing: you're mentioning topics that Governor Snyder supported, and yet if you did have the lieutenant governor position, as we talked about, you will be working with him. How can you work in an effective manner if you essentially disagree on some big issues such as the Medicaid expansion?
I don't think there's any two politicians in Lansing or Washington that agree lockstep on every issue. And yes, this is a big area of disagreement, and I would lobby vigorously the governor to not proceed with any element of Obamacare.
Are you trying to be the next governor?
No, absolutely not.
You're a heartbeat away if you win this thing. Let me get a couple of the different issues, though. Do you support the governor in his battle to get Detroit out of bankruptcy? Grand bargain. Do you support the grand bargain?
No. Well, let me just say this. Are you asking me if I support a bailout of Detroit?
Yes.
Absolutely not. Is
this a bailout of Detroit, in your view?
Yes.
What about the retirees? And what about the fact that Detroit has no money?
That's an issue that it should be solved by the bankruptcy court.
If you were governor, would you have sent Detroit into bankruptcy?
I don't want to speculate. I do want to comment on this. There was that $195 million that the state of Michigan gave to Detroit. I've read reports from credible sources, the Mackinac Center specifically, that if the Detroit Institute of Arts would have sold one painting for, it would have got $195 million, we wouldn't have to have bailed them out with that $195.
So you would have sold art at the DIA?
That one painting, you bet I would have sold it.
All right, what about Mark Schauer? Are you more, if you divide the party, aren't you really putting Mark Schauer? Mark Schauer's looking at this interview right now and he's jumping up and down, he's excited because you're dividing the Republican Party. True or not true?
Untrue. I am not dividing the Republican Party. I am uniting the Republican Party because I tell you what, there are many people in the base of the Republican Party that are unhappy with current policy, and they may sit this out. When I'm in there, they're going to be coming out to vote. You don't want Republicans to sit out this election, though, do you, if you're not the nominee?
It could jeopardize
I don't think so. I think it enhances our likelihood of success.
All right.
Think you're going to win next week?
You bet.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wes Nakagiri, for joining us and sharing your perspective on this upcoming race. Well, that is it for this edition of Let It Rip Weekend.
All right. Fox News Sunday is next. Thanks.